Hello friends. How are you all? Hope you are all well. I made some mistakes in the last video. Thank you very much for pointing out those mistakes. I have tried my best to make no mistakes in this video. If any, please point out my mistakes. So let's start the video. In the previous episodes, we saw Kira's father calls Kira to his room, where he asks Kira where Kira found Stella. Here Kira lies that she found Stella on the side of the road. When her father doesn't believe her, Kira's anger increases on Stella. In the next scene we see Jason comes to meet Stella. Here he apologizes to Stella for his earlier behavior, but when Stella didn't say anything here, he saw that Stella still hadn't drunk the tea he offered her. When he asks Stella why isn't she drinking, Stella tells him that she is not interested. As soon as he heard this, Jason took the teacup from in front of Stella and drank the tea. And he says he won't poison Stella because Stella is her special customer. Jason also says that he is a businessman. How can he harm the owner of the stars? Then this Stella silenced him. Jason asks Stella if she dislikes him so much that she won't even let him talk. Then Stella thought that first he looked at her threateningly, and now he was making a like face they had been friends. Stella then asks Jason how much his contract with Kira, who changed overnight, is worth. When Jason feels a little annoyed by this, Stella tells him that she heard that Jason has the largest army in the kingdom. When Jason agrees with Stella, Stella tells him that it's good that Jason has an army, because Stella needs an army. Jason then tells Stella that is her army needed for the poor family, and asks if the rest of the royal families know about them. He also says that Stella should protect them better, as the rest of the royal family may be harmed if they find out. When Stella gets serious about this, Jason tries to change the subject, but Stella tells him that Jason is so interested in his family that he can use his family to manipulate her. Jason disagrees, but Stella tells him that if he even sees his family, he will destroy his life. Apologizes to all who hear him for his bad behavior, and says that if he does, he can have a little faith in him. Stella then tells him that she needs 3 men with giant bodies and who are good at everything. As we read, we see 3 giants standing where Stella used to live. The woman is not afraid of them, but the man is completely afraid of them. They look like total hooligans. When the man asks his wife what these people are doing here, his wife tells him that they are here for work, and they also need some workers, so they need to keep them working. Then the 3 people there started to introduce themselves. Just then the shopman's eyes fell on one's axe and the other said he was good at cutting wood. As soon as he said this, the man with the axe took the wood from the hands of the shopkeeper. It was then that Daisy came down from above and begged them to stay here. Due to the tangle of the country, everyone agrees to keep his word, and that's when Kyle moves in. Kyle took a closer look at the store. When Kyle asks the shopkeeper about Ethan, they remain silent. After a while Kyle left there. We then hear Kyle talking to the shopkeeper, telling him that Ethan left without saying a word and they don't even know where he went. Kyle's mind was then filled with only one question. Is Ethan really Stella? He wants to bring Ethan to himself. His manager then asks him where he wants to go, to which Kyle says he wants to go to the palace. In another scene we see Kira getting ready, when a maid rushes to her and tells her that Stella has gone to meet Jason. The maid also says that Jason was very nice to Stella. Kira doesn't seem to care, but when the maid says that Jason walked to Stella's carriage himself, Kira is devastated. Jason, who never gave Kira a ride, is now giving Stella a ride. Kira then praises the maid and leaves. In another scene, we see Stella writing a letter to her family, when a child walks up behind her, causing her to panic. But the girl says that she is a maid and she came to ask Stella if Stella is fine, as she looks very sad. Stella notices that this kid is about Daisy's age. Just then Kira walks into Stella's room without saying a word, and tells her that she is a guest in her room and should offer her tea. When asked the reason for her visit, Kira says that a princess should behave well. Stella then replies that she hasn't been to the palace in years, so her behavior might be a bad one. Since Kira is a good princess and her elder sister, Kira will surely forgive him. Kira then says that she told their father that she got Stella off the street and that Stella should know, too. Telling Kira that she didn't need to do this, Kira gets angry and says that she did it for her own good, but Stella thinks she's evil. But when Stella tells him to leave, Kira gets up and grabs Stella's hand. Stella tells her why is Kira so scared, and that she shouldn't tell a lie in the first place, that gets caught so quickly. Kira then says, Stella also does not want their father to know about Stella's previous family. This only caused Stella to shudder. Stella then tells Kira that she is a useful person, and the royal family will do anything to keep her. Kira then says that Stella has shown good reason that she forgot her poor family when she returned to the royal family. Stella then replies to Kira that what Kira is thinking is wrong because Stella still misses her family a lot. At that time, Stella's maid came and said something in her ear, and Stella left. It is then that we are shown some scenes from Kyle's past. While his father doesn't want to accept him, because he is the son of a maid, he gets used to hearing insult from everyone. That's when he took up the sword to save himself, and became very good at it. His sword teacher introduces him to the prince. When they sit down to eat together, Kyle begins to eat all the food in a bit of a hurry, and Kara call him a demon. But when he accidentally cuts the price hand while practicing swordplay with the prince, Kara orders his execution. But then suddenly Stella came to him and stopped him, saying that he had accidentally cut off the prince's hand. Stella apologizes to them all and saves Kyle, but just as Kyle goes to tell her, Stella walks away. Back to the present, we see Stella entering Kyle's room. It is then that we are shown some glimpses of Stella's side's past. As Stella leaves after saving Kyle, Kyle calls her princess. Even though Stella wants to stop him, Kyle doesn't listen, and wants to see Stella as the star of this kingdom. Presently, when Stella stood in front of Kyle, Kyle hugged him without saying anything. Kyle apologizes to Stella for ruining her life, but Stella can't blame him for anything, because he was the only person who stood up for her. On the other hand, Stella's mother wakes up from a nightmare, and she tells her maid that she had such a nightmare after a long time. Her maid then tells her that she need not worry like that, because the Princess Stella is back. It was then that some words started ringing in the queen's ears, where her own being was telling her how she could be a mother and push her daughter to death. Her maid then tells her that there is no need to worry. If she treats Stella well now, it will seem to everyone that the queen loves the princess and the public will distract more. Quinn was happy and started going to Stella. She will treat Stella well from now on. Stella and Kyle, on the other hand, have some conversation between them. At one point in the conversation, Kyle tells Stella that she brought a consent from her parents. He also says that they have given consent for the marriage for Kyle and Stella. Then Kyle got down on one knee by the chair and proposed to her. Stella is a bit surprised at first, but as she goes to accept Kyle's request, Stella's mother stops her. Quinn tells Stella that Kyle is a demon trying to convince Stella that he's no match for Stella. Stella was well aware that her mother was now trying to be a good mother in front of everyone. Quinn, on the other hand, was trying to convince Kyle that Stella would miss her family a lot if Stella left with him now. He also says Kyle, Stella wants to stay with her parents for a while longer. But then Stella starts saying that she doesn't want to be with her family, she wants to leave with Kyle. She started thinking to himself that he did the right thing because he wanted to live as Ethan, not Stella. That's why Stella Kyle needs help, at least a lot better than those who threw away their children. Quinn tries to convince Stella a lot, but Stella doesn't listen to her, and takes Kyle out of there. When Stella comes to her room, she found her father searching her room. Her father also found the letter. Then Stella came before him, and told him that the letter was his, and that his father should return the letter to her. Stella's father tries to convince her that he cares too much about Stella, so he came to find out about Stella's background, but Stella is well aware that her father came to search her house. When his father asked him where he came from, Stella said no. Stella then says that her father doesn't care about her. He just thinks that she is a weak and useless person. Hearing the king gets angry and calls her name. Stella tells him why her father wants to know from the beginning whether Stella is real or fake or what kind of life she has led. He smiles and tells his father that he doesn't need to worry about him. Just then her father tells Stella that everything she thinks is wrong and agrees to give Stella everything. Stella then laughs and says that who gave him this power, adding that she don't want her father to control her anymore, then no one would be able to control her anymore. The king asks her if she hates his family so much that he didn't hesitate to go with a stranger. As Stella was about to leave without saying anything, Kyle stood in front of her. But when Stella starts to ignore him and leave, her father orders Cal to bring Stella to him. To Stella's astonishment, Cal approaches her as she stares at him, thinking that Cal might hand her over to her father. But mistaking his thinking, Cal holds her in his arms, but on the other hand Stella's father thinks that maybe Cal will give Stella to him, but Kyle takes her and leaves from there. When Kyle's manager tries to stop him, Cal tells him that Stella is nobody's property, adding that his manager is lucky he's not killing her right now. He also says that, till now he forgave her manager for many mistakes, but that won't happen anymore, and he asks his manager to get away from him. When his manager tries to stop him, he says that he is lucky that the king sent him or he would have killed him long ago. Just then Kara comes to her father's room, and says with a bit of drama that, how Stella could go with a man despite being an unmarried princess. Just then her father tells her why Kira lied to him, when she told him she got Stella off the street. When Kira cannot answer, her father calls her useless and leaves. On the other hand, when Kyle goes out with Stella, Stella's mother stands in their way. Stella's mother tries to convince Stella, but Stella refuses to listen to her and tells her to get away from her. That's when Cal asks Stella if he can kill everyone who stands in their way. Stella is a little taken aback by Kyle's words, but she forbids Kyle to do anything. Just then Stella's father comes and tells Stella that if she wants her father will not control her but she has to stay in this royal family. Stella then spreads her hands and says that she will stay here, on one condition, and her condition is that, after a year and a half no one can find Stella wherever she goes. When the scene changes from there we can see them sitting together. There, when Kyle asks Stella about her truth, Stella tells her that this family is not her real family. Her previous poor family is her real family. The poor family has adopted him without his powers, but his own family people want his powers, not him. Then Stella suddenly asks Cal to stay away from her, which upsets Kyle, but he says he will come to see Stella at least once a week so as not to bother her. After Cal was gone, he only thought that Cal had single-handedly put this royal family back together to find him. In the next scene we see Kira come to Jason's house, saying that this is the first time her father has ever told her that she is useless, and it was only for Stella. But Jason tells Kara that, why is Kara getting so hurt hearing this just once? Because Stella has been hearing these things since childhood. That's when Kira tells Jason that what he heard about Jason and Stella is true. Jason tells Kira that Stella is his biggest client. When Kara doesn't understand Jason, Jason shows her his and Stella's agreement, which plays an evil trick on Kira's head. It was then that Kira gave Kyle's manager to spread some bad words against Stella to the public. On the other hand, when Stella was sitting in her room reading a book, her servants came and told her that Kyle had come to meet her. From that day on, Kyle came to visit the palace every week. There, Kyle proposes to Stella again, and Stella slowly begins to weaken towards Kyle, but he pulls himself together and pulls his hand away from him. Stella then tells Kyle that Kyle has stood the royal family on its own merits, so why did he accept the place in the north, when he was offered it? Then Kyle asks Stella if she dislikes cold places and when Stella says no, he asks her to come with him. Stella replies that she will visit her sometimes, and Kyle whispers something in Stella's ear, causing Stella to blush. The next day Kyle comes to meet Stella again, then suddenly another person appeared in front of them, and introduced himself as Chen Bajal. He brought some new dresses. Kyle removed his bones with a jerk, when he kissed Stella's hand. Just then Kira came down with her parents from upstairs. Kira tells Stella that as a princess, she should be using royal cell assets to serve the people, but Stella is using them for herself. Just then, when her mother doesn't understand, Kira tells her mother that she should directly ask what Stella did with the check she took. Stella's father walks in front of her and Kyle goes to stop him, but Kira grabs Stella's hand from behind, and pulls her forward, and asks her to answer. By doing this, Stella could well understand that Kira wanted to destroy her honor in front of everyone, but Stella won't let that happen. With a jerk she takes away Kira's hand, and says that 10 billion has been taken. This makes Kira happy and starts insulting her, but Stella stops her saying that her sister has no right to insult her. Stella then informed her sister that Jason's total financial assets were 45 trillion gold coins and that Stella would earn 20% of that per month. She also says that Jason's diamond mine has now become Stella's. Stella then comes in front of Kara and tells her that Kara didn't get any education, even from a royal family, where a girl who grew up in a poor place like Stella knows business much better than her. When her father asked him about this bet, she told him that she had taken the bet that her family would keep abandoned for the rest of her life. After saying this, Stella goes out and tells Kyle that there is no need to comfort her and that he should go home safely. Just then Stella's parents run towards her and Stella runs into Kyle's horse and pleads to hurry up. Cal leaves from there. King tells his assistant to inform everyone that Cal has kidnapped Stella. The scene changes to Jason's room, where his friend comes in and informs him that there are a lot of people gathered at their casino, and they all want to fight the bet for Stella. He then adds that a new rumor has spread in the kingdom, that Cal has kidnapped Stella.